The Senate will come to order. The senators will please take their seats. Those persons not entitled to the privilege of the floor will retire to the gallery. Good morning, senators. Good morning, guests. The senators and those who are able, please stand. We will be led in prayer this morning by the Reverend Cameron M. Wiles of Rising Hope Mission Church in Lorton. Following the prayer, everyone will please remain standing. We will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our United States of America by Senate Page Jansen Spruill of Mechanicsville.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we gather in this space today, seeking unity and commonality despite our differences of location, opinion, and preference concerning how we conduct and govern our lives together. Creating belonging and community within this great commonwealth of ours is assisted through the creation of standards and boundaries by which laws and policies are useful for their time and place. And yet we acknowledge that law is but one part of the fabric that holds our lives together as a people. And even though what occurs in this space amongst these duly elected senators is but one part of our shared lives, the truth is that the laws passed here will either be for the building up or the tearing down of our lives together. It has been said through holy teachings that we can dot all the I's and cross all the T's, but let us not forget the weightier matters at hand: justice, mercy, and faith. Grant those in this space the wisdom and courage to ask the harder questions at hand. How will this law or policy affect the poor and working class struggling to get by? How can we do the most good to relieve the suffering of the broken? How can we promote love and dignity amongst those who feel as though they have been disinherited? You have told us what is good: to love mercy, to do justice, and to walk humbly. Grant us each the capacity to do so with you for the sake of our neighbors and this great commonwealth of ours. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The clerk will call the roll. All those present, please vote aye. The clerk will close the roll.
You have a quorum, Madam President. Senate Journal for Tuesday, February 14th, 2023.
The senator from Eastern Fairfax County, Senator Sorovell, moves that the reading of the journal be waived. All in favor of waiving the reading of the journal will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 34, noes 5.
Ayes 34, noes 5. The reading of the journal is waived. The clerk will report any communications from the House of Delegates. Chair recognizes the senior senator from Fairfax County, Senator Saslaw.
Madam President, I move that we waive the reading of the communications from the House of Delegates.
The question is, shall the reading of the communication be waived? All in favor of waiving the reading of the communication from the House of Delegates will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 33, noes 6.
Ayes 33, no 6. The reading of the communication is waived. The clerk will report any communications from the governor.
We do not have any, Madam President.
Chair calls on the senior senator again. Senator Sasslaw from Fairfax County.
Madam President, I move that we suspend the rules and grant the privileges of the floor to our special distinguished guest.
The question is, shall the rules be suspended and the privileges of the floor be granted to a distinguished person? All those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, no 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. The rules are suspended. The privileges of the floor are granted. The chair recognizes the senior senator from Virginia Beach, Senator DeStaff, for the purpose of presenting the distinguished guest.
Madam President, my fellow members of the Senate, today I have the absolute honor to introduce two of Virginia Beach's finest citizens, Dr. Bill McGee and his wife, Kathy. I personally have had the good fortune to know the McGees for many, many years. They've joined today by their daughter, Brigitte. Incredibly, some of you have not heard of Bill and Kathy McGee, but you've most certainly heard of the organization they founded, an organization, by the way, that is headquartered in my district in Virginia Beach. It's called Operation Smile. Operation Smile is a medical nonprofit founded by Bill and Kathy McGee in 1982. Bill McGee, a plastic surgeon, and Kathy McGee, who was then a social worker and a nurse, were invited to join a Philippine cleft repair mission with a group of medical professionals. When they realized the group would not return to the Philippines despite so many still needing the surgery, they established Operation Smile. Since then, Operation Smile has helped more than 346,000 people born with cleft lips, cleft palates, and other facial deformities. They've received life-changing surgical and dental care in over 60 countries at no cost to the recipients. This past October, Operation Smile celebrated a milestone 40th anniversary. Together with volunteers, former patients, and other members of their community, Operation Smile hosted a Cycle for Smiles event. Cycle for Smiles is a series of cycle rides across more than 20 countries that raise funds to support Operation Smile and celebrate the organization's 40th anniversary. These rides represent how a shared purpose enabled individual people to make a global impact. I was honored to be able to join them in biking 40 miles from the Eastern Shore, over the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel, and ending at Operation Smile Global Headquarters in Virginia Beach. A headquarter, by the way, that employs approximately 100 people right here in the Commonwealth. We are fortunate to have such wonderful organization and wonderful people doing important work that not only benefits our great state and country, but the entire world. They bring tremendous pride to the Commonwealth. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me in welcoming Dr. and Mrs. McGee and thank them for their incredible philanthropic efforts worldwide.
Senate Joint Resolution Number 308, commending Operation Smile. Whereas for more than 4 decades, Operation Smile, a medical nonprofit service organization currently headquartered in Virginia Beach, has enhanced the health and wellness of communities around the world by providing and increasing local access to reconstructive facial surgery to repair cleft lips, cleft palates, burns, tumors, and other birth defects. And whereas Operation Smile traces its roots to 1982, when Dr. William Bill P. McGee, Jr., a craniofacial surgeon, and his wife Kathleen Kathy S. McGee, a clinical social worker and nurse, joined a group of medical volunteers traveling to the Philippines to provide cleft lip and cleft palate repair surgeries to children and youth. And whereas when several patients were still in need of treatment at the end of the mission, Bill and Kathy McGee were inspired to create Operation Smile and returned to complete the work they had started. Between 1983 and 1985, they conducted 2 additional trips to the Philippines and treated an additional 400 children. And whereas within its first few years, Operation Smile expanded its services by launching its first of many student clubs, creating the Physicians Training Program, which still brings surgeons from around the world to the United States to learn best practices and new techniques in craniofacial surgery, and launching the World Care Program, through which patients with conditions too serious to be treated in their home countries can receive care in the United States. And whereas in the late 1980s, Operation Smile deployed medical mission teams to Kenya, Colombia, Ghana, and Vietnam, it was the first United States-based non-governmental organization to return to Vietnam since the Vietnam War. Operation Smile ultimately played a role in opening communications on the return of the remains of American soldiers. And whereas Operation Smile conducted its first missions to China, Panama, Nicaragua, Russia, Venezuela, Ecuador, Brazil, Honduras, Thailand, Morocco, Bolivia, and Peru in the 1990s, the organization further expanded its operations through a fellowship program, domestic medical programs, and medical student and faculty exchange programs. And whereas in 1999, Operation Smile launched the World Journey of Hope, a 9-week mission aboard a Lockheed L-1011 TriStar airplane converted into a flying hospital that provided 5,300 free surgeries to patients in 18 countries in Africa, Asia, the Middle East, Europe, and South America. World Journey of Hope 99 also provided medical equipment to each mission country, allowing them to take care of more children on their own. And whereas in the new millennium, Operation Smile completed missions to Jordan, India, Ethiopia, Paraguay, South Africa, Mexico, Egypt, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Rwanda, Myanmar, Guatemala, Ghana, the United Arab Emirates, and Malawi. And whereas in 2006, Operation Smile hosted its first global standards of care meeting to establish an international standard of care for all Operation Smile affiliates around the world. The following year, it commemorated its 25th anniversary by opening comprehensive care centers in 4 countries and initiating World Journey of Smiles that serve more than 4,000 patients at 40 locations. And whereas in 2014, Operation Smile held its first Next Medical Conference at its recently constructed global headquarters in Virginia Beach, they brought together medical professionals from 45 countries to discuss gaps in global surgical care and develop strategies to overcome barriers to care, enhance health infrastructure, and increase surgical capacity in their communities. And whereas as part of its 35th anniversary campaign in 2017, Operation Smile created the United We Heal campaign to encourage global leaders to increase access to safe surgery and advocate for government engagement and the establishment of medical programs to create long-term solutions. And whereas during the recent COVID-19 pandemic, Operation Smile redirected critical supplies and protective equipment to frontline health workers across the globe. Operation Smile continued its commitment to patients and used technology to safely provide consultations like speech therapy and psychosocial counseling. And whereas since its establishment, Operation Smile has helped more than 346,000 children and youth in more than 60 countries worldwide receive life-changing surgical and dental care. The organization has established local affiliates in Vietnam, Australia, Italy, the United Kingdom, Ireland, Sweden, Canada, and Switzerland, among others. And whereas Operation Smile's exceptional accomplishments have been featured in national and international news programs and publications, and the organization has been recognized by Pope John Paul II, Mother Teresa, multiple United States presidents and heads of states in numerous other countries. And whereas among many accolades and humanitarian awards, Operation Smile was the inaugural recipient of the Conrad N. Hilton Humanitarian Prize in 1996 and was named the Nonprofit Organization of the Year by the Direct Marketing Association Nonprofit Federation in 2009. William and Kathleen McGee have personally received many other awards for their commitment to excellence and contributions to health and wellness worldwide. And whereas Operation Smile maintains long-standing partnerships with the American Heart Association, the General Federation of Women's Clubs, Rotary International, and other civic and service organizations that have generously supported its mission. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate, the House of Delegates concurring, that the General Assembly hereby commend Operation Smile for the exceptional service to communities around the world on the occasion of its 40th anniversary in 2022, and be it resolved further that the Clerk of the Senate prepare a copy of this resolution for presentation to Dr. William P. McGee, Jr. and Kathleen S. McGee, founders of Operation Smile, as an expression of the General Assembly's appreciation for the organization's vital mission and admiration for its global achievements.
Please join me in the well of the Senate. How fortunate we are to know people like you exist in this world. You promised to return, to liberate the children. And it reminds me of another promise, another great man made, General Douglas, when he promised to liberate a people. He promised to return. And you've been returning. You keep returning, and you've inspired so many others. Thank God for you. Thank God that you do this. Please continue your work. And I know that you've done so much, but I know this is nothing compared to the smiles and everything else that so many are glad for you. Senator, thank you for bringing these wonderful people to us, and we honor them.
Virginia, because without Virginia and without the home base that we had, this would have never happened. And now there's even student clubs all over the world and kids coming up. And if they can see the world as beautiful as we see it, God bless them, because it is a beautiful world. And we can see it best through our children, I think.
Thank you very much. You're too kind. Senators, let us give him the warm welcome of his Senate. The Senate will be at ease. We have arrived at the time in our morning hour when we will hear who all of our wonderful guests are. And the normal procedure is that the senator will rise and will introduce you, and please stand at that time. And I will give my remarks, and if you will hold your applause until after I give my remarks, that will make it a little bit easier. And with that, I call on Senator Sorovell, senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise for introduction.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Good morning.
Good morning.
I rise today to ask you to welcome our pastor who gave our opening prayer this morning. His name is Reverend Cameron Wilds. You all might remember him because he was here about 2 weeks ago with his congregation to visit the General Assembly. Reverend Wilds grew up in Goochland County. He went to Ferrum University, or Ferrum College, where my grandmother was a proud member of the class of 1935, and where he got his degree in divinity. He went on to Duke University's Divinity School, where he currently serves in Ferrum as an adjunct professor of religion there. He's also been named their outstanding young alumni from their schools of arts and humanities. He's also present today with his father, Mark Wilds, who is the water and utilities inspector in Goochland County. So if you need any permits pulled or make sure any additions on your house are up to code, he's here as well. You can check in with him on that. But with Cameron, his church does some amazing work up and down the US 1 corridor in my part of Fairfax County. They work with a lot of recently sort of formerly homeless folks. They work with some folks that often need help. And they have a hypothermia shelter. They have a food bank. And they do a lot of the work that the government doesn't get done. And they work with a lot of our area churches to do that mission work in our community. I was lucky to worship with them about a month or two before session and to see all the good things they do and meet some of their people. And Madam President, I would hope you could give them the warm welcome of the Senate, congratulate them for all the things they do.
Good morning again, Reverend. And good morning again, Dad. Thank you for coming, and thank you for that prayer. Something you said I latched on to, and it was that as lawmakers, the senators and the delegates certainly have the power to pass legislation which will either build up or tear down. And I think we will keep that ever present as we continue our business of the Commonwealth. Thank you for that reminder. Senators, let us give them the warm welcome of their Senate. Chair recognizes Senator Cosgrove, the senior senator from Chesapeake.
Thank you, Madam President, and
good morning.
Check, check.
Yes.
There we go. Good morning, Madam President.
Morning.
I rise for an introduction.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, the Young Republican Federation of Virginia is the foremost organization for conservative young professionals ages 18 to 40 in the Commonwealth. In 2022, Young Republicans worked to increase the engagement of young voters, making over 2.5 million voter contacts for candidates and causes, and electing members to local offices as well. Along with supporting election efforts, Young Republicans serve in office, work in public policy, and provide members with a pathway to influence the political and legislative process. Madam President, oh, to be young and energetic again. I am proud to welcome them to the Capitol, including members from my home region, which include Helen Sharp and Matthew Criddle. And also we have Jesse and Jack Blakely of Falls Church. Jesse's a longtime friend of mine. And we also have Mark Jennings, a constituent of Senator Stewart from King George County. So, Madam President, on behalf of Senator DeSteff, Senator Stewart, and myself, I ask you to offer them the very warm welcome of the Senate of Virginia.
Good morning to you. And I see it's your mission to increase the voting of the young people. And indeed, that's absolutely necessary because they must take their place in this world and they must take their responsibilities seriously. So thank you for doing that. Senators, let us give them the warm welcome of their Senate. Chair recognizes Senator Locke. The senator from Hampton.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise for an introduction.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. In the gallery, we have members of the PUSH Coalition for Maternal Health visiting with us today. The PUSH Coalition for Maternal Health is spearheaded by the Virginia Interfaith Center for Public Policy. Since 2019, they have represented more than 40 statewide organizations or state chapters of national organizations of healthcare advocates and providers. With rates of maternal mortality worse than the national average and having more than doubled in the past 2 years, the PUSH Coalition has been in the forefront of raising public awareness to legislative priorities for the maternal health crisis in Virginia. Over the past 4 years, they have championed numerous bills to address barriers to accessible, quality, dignified, unbiased, and compassionate care during the prenatal to postpartum periods. Please join me in welcoming the PUSH Coalition for Maternal Health to the Senate.
Good morning to you, and thank you for coming, and thank you for your advocacy and enlightenment on the issues around maternal health. It is extremely disturbing to hear the maternal deaths that are happening that are so unnecessary that we can tame and change. Thank you for continuing to do the work that's necessary. Senators, let us give them the warm welcome of their Senate. Chair recognizes Senator Marsden, the senator from Western Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise for an introduction.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. It's my pleasure to introduce today my Randolph-Macon classmate, Robert Lambeth, president of the Council of Independent Colleges in Virginia, as he prepares for retirement after 40 years of service to Virginia's private colleges. Robert has been single-minded in his focus over his career how to help those mostly small colleges contribute to the Commonwealth and the communities they serve, to find innovative ways for them to collaborate to achieve greater efficiency, and how to support them so that they will thrive. Most notably, his mission has been to help Virginia students achieve the dream of a college degree at the institution that fits them best. The Tuition Assistance Grant Program has enabled 300,000 students to do that in the last 50 years. It has been Robert's task to remind us that all Virginia's system of higher education is known around the nation and the world because of the presence of both outstanding public and outstanding private institutions. Within our chamber, there are 10 members, plus Madam Clerk, who hold degrees from one of CICV's member institutions. 2 of our members have 2 degrees from Virginia private colleges. Private colleges are important to the fabric of our Commonwealth. Robert is joined in the gallery by his wife, Lynn, his son, Robert III, other family members, as well as Betty and Lou Giroux, Robert's sister and brother-in-law, Bob Lindgren, president of Randolph-Macon College, Pamela Fox, president of Mary Baldwin University, Mike and Terry Maxey, president and first lady emeritus of Roanoke College, Tim Kloffenstein, executive director of the Virginia Private College Benefits Consortium, John Bogus, health promotions coordinator, Eva Lee and Jeffrey Thompson of TIAA, Jordan Smith of Millennial Financial, and Jan Smith, Deb Thomas, and Sabina Moritz of the CICV staff. Madam President, I wish you could give these fine educators the warm welcome of the Senate.
Well, good morning to you. And you're retiring after 40 years. Sir, that's a whole generation at the helm of an organization dedicated to education and other matters. Thank you so very much for sticking to it. And now you've turned the baton and given it to another generation. Thank you for all that you've done. Senators, let us give him the warm welcome of his Senate. Chair recognizes Senator DeStaff.
As you were, Madam President. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Senator Obenshain, the senator from Rockingham County.
Madam President, first I rise for an introduction.
The senator has the floor.
Madam President, I know that we are not supposed to introduce our legislative assistant, so I will not do so. I will not introduce Jenny Auger, who's in the gallery today, but she's accompanied by two students, and it's fortuitous that she's in front of these young people who are focused on increasing voter involvement, although these two young people have a couple of years to go before they're eligible to vote. But, Madam President, I would hope that you would extend the warm welcome of the Senate to Jonathan and William Auger. Jonathan's 9 years old and a third-grade student at Redeemer Classical School, and his little brother, William, is 6 years old and a kindergartner at Redeemer. So I'm pleased to have them with us today, and I would hope that you would please extend the warm welcome to the Senate to the Auger boys.
Good morning, boys. And at your age, you are engaging in civic duty by whipping votes, maybe? That's an awesome responsibility. We're so glad that you are here, and we will not speak of the LA either, Ms. Aguilar. Senators, let us give them the warm welcome of their Senate. Senator Obenchain.
Madam President, second, I need to request indulgence and request unanimous consent of the body to submit a resolution. It is a resolution concerning a day designation in commemoration of the 100th birthday of Earl Hamner.
The question is, shall the Senate grant consent to introduce a resolution relating to the issues as stated by the senator? All those in favor of that motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. Sir, the consent of the Senate is granted. You may introduce your resolution. Chair recognizes Senator Rouse, the junior senator from Virginia Beach.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise for introduction.
The senator may continue.
Madam President, you may have seen a lot more orange and maroon walking these halls today and in our gallery, aside from your beautiful pashmina as well. Joining us in the gallery today are graduate and undergraduate students from my alma mater, Virginia Tech. Let's go Hokies. These students are joining us for Hokie Day, or in our world, every day is Hokie Day, which is the annual day that students visit us here at the General Assembly and meet with legislators to share their experiences at Virginia Tech and learn more about the state legislative process. You may have already been visiting your office today by these students, and I ask that we give them the warm welcome of the Senate.
Well, good afternoon. I caught you. It's not afternoon yet. It's still morning. Well, I'm wearing the colors, and I guess I got the memo. And we know that you're doing well in school, and we hope you will continue to not just thrive, but strive. Strive to continue to do your best and to make your university proud. And thank you for visiting our halls and letting us know what's on your minds. Senators, let us give our future leaders, and current leaders, I would say, the warm welcome of their Senate. Chair recognizes Senator Lewis, the senator from Accomack.
Morning, Madam President. Rise for the purpose of an introduction.
Morning. Couldn't fool you.
Madam President, today in the gallery visiting with us are Eastern Shore Community College students, members of the College Phi Theta Kappa student organization, Honor Society. It's an international honor society of students attending open access institutions. And we are joined by three students. Fidel Guerrero is working on an associate's in applied science degree in general studies. Kristen Gray is working on a certificate in practical nursing. and Paolo Mejia Jimenez is working on working on a associate's degree in science. In addition, they are joined by Dr. Raymond Burton, the Eastern Shore Community College Vice President for Academics, Workforce, and Student Success. Also with them today, but not in the gallery, is the Eastern Shore Community College President James Schaefer. So I would hope the Senate would give them the warm welcome of the Virginia Senate.
Good morning, Dr. Burke, and good morning, students. You are certainly fulfilling the mission that we're about, which is to increase STEM education, applied science, nursing, and science, respectively. Thank you so very much for getting into those fields because, of course, it is part of our future. Thank you, Dr. Burke, for what you do and your leadership there in inspiring the students. Senators, let us give them the warm welcome of their Senate. Chair recognizes Senator Mason, the senator from Williamsburg.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I rise for the purpose of an introduction.
The senator has the floor.
Madam President, today I have with me 3 of our summer interns, and we got a lot of work out of them this summer, but it was nothing compared to the morning that they saw today. So if they would stand left to right on your radio dial, Thomas Messier, Sr. from William & Mary, government history major, Noah Farrell, who just graduated from Christopher Newport in December, political science and government major, and Grace Scott, a senior at William & Mary, also a government and English major. So, Madam President, if you and my colleagues would give them the warm welcome, I'd greatly appreciate it.
Welcome, interns. Welcome, students. So glad that you have chosen to help our esteemed senator. Indeed, we run on interns, as you know. Thank you so very much for giving that side of you to our senator. Senators, let us give them the warm welcome of their Senate. Is there any other business to come before the Senate? Hearing none, the clerk will call the calendar.
Senate calendar for Wednesday, February 15, 2023. Unfinished business, Senate. Senate Bill 910 has passed the House with amendment.
Chair recognizes Senator Newman, the senator from Bedford.
Madam President, I move that we accept the House amendment and speaking to that motion.
The senator has the floor.
Madam President, this is a technical amendment. The words were left out of the Senate bill. They were in the House bill. It basically just adds 2 words, which is where otherwise, to make sure that we are always consistent with applicable state and federal law. I would move that we agree with the House amendments.
The question is, shall the Senate concur with the House amendment? Those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, noes 0.
Ayes 40, noes 0. The Senate concurs with the House amendment.
Senate Bill 1116 has passed the House with amendments.
Chair recognizes Senator Ackworth, the senator from Tazewell.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the Senate concur with the House amendments. Speaking to that motion.
The senator has the floor.
We have 2 amendments, and the first amendment adds the phrase to the definition of coal mine methane to make the definition consistent with the same definition in a separate bill, Senate Bill 1121, that passed this body 40-1. And in line 18, engrossed after coal seam, we would insert that would otherwise escape into the atmosphere. That brings it in to consistency with SB 1121. And the second amendment, it removes the second enactment clause that asks the Department of Energy to do an evaluation. Similar language is already contained in SB 1121, and that bill passed the House yesterday, so the language in the second enactment clause in this bill is unnecessary.
The question is, shall the Senate concur with the House amendments to Senate Bill 1116? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, no 0.
Ayes 40, no 0. The Senate concurs.
Senate Bill 1392 has passed the House with amendment.
Chair recognizes Senator Lewis, the senator from Accomack.
Madam President, I move that we concur with the House amendment. And speaking to that motion,
The senator has the floor.
Madam President, members of the Senate, the House amendment simply corrected what was a Scrivener's error in the original bill, and on line 15, it should have said adhere to all local floodplain management, and it only said all. So the House corrected it and inserted local as it was intended to be from the beginning. So I, again, renew my motion that we concur with the House amendment.
The question is, shall the Senate concur with the House amendment? Those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, no 0.
Ayes 40, no 0. The Senate concurs.
Senate Bill 1405 has passed the House with a substitute.
Chair recognizes Senator Barker, the senator from Southern Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. And speaking to the bill.
The senator may continue.
Yes. Madam President and members of the Senate, I move that we concur with the House substitute, but with a recommendation that it be rejected. No. And speaking to it, the issue is at what level of impact there would be with the rolling conformity of the income taxes that are adopted, and when the federal government has a change in terms of how they are defining the provisions that we would have to exempt from consideration of automatic rolling conformity, what the size of the impact would be upon our revenues, and we will deal with that, I guess, in conference committee.
With the recommendation that it be rejected, the question is, shall the Senate concur with the House substitute on Senate Bill 1405? This will be a recorded vote. Those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? With the recommendation that it be rejected. The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 10, noes 30.
Ayes 10, noes 30. The Senate does not concur. It is rejected.
Senate Bill 1448 has passed the House with a substitute.
Chair recognizes Senator Lucas, the senator from Portsmouth.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, with the recommendation that the Senate reject the substitute, I would move that the body concur with the House. In this case, it is
substitute.
Substitute.
With an explanation?
Yes, ma'am. What the House did was change the intent of the bill, Madam President, because we only wanted the 20%. No, we didn't want the 20%. We only wanted this to apply to Norfolk State University and Virginia State University.
With the recommendation that it be rejected, the question is, shall the House substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 0, noes 40.
Ayes 0, noes 40. The Senate does not concur. It is rejected.
Uncontested calendar, House bills on third reading.
Chair calls on Senator Saslaw, the senior senator from Fairfax County.
Madam President, I move that all House bills on third reading on the uncontested calendar, that's pages 3 through 23, House Bill 1388 through House Bill 2424, be advanced to their final passage in a block after the adoption of any amendments thereto, and any senator desiring to remove bill from the block, please do so after the clerk has read the number of the bill.
Senator Boycomb? The question is, shall House bills on the uncontested calendar, third reading, pages 3 through 23, House Bill 1388 through House Bill 2424, be placed upon their final passage in a block after the adoption of any amendments thereto, with the understanding that any senator desiring a bill to be removed from the block will do so after the clerk has read the number of the bill. All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to. The bills are before us in the block. The clerk will read the number of the bills.
House Bill 1388, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. House Bill 1400, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with Senate amendments substituted for House amendments.
Chair recognizes Senator Howell or Senator Barker. Chair recognizes Senator Barker.
Yes, Madam President. I move the action to be taken on this bill. This is the budget bill from the coming.
You move the committee amendments, sir?
And the committee amendments, I move that they be adopted. With the recommendation they be rejected.
Rejected?
No. This is the Senate.
You're accepting?
Yeah, we're accepting the committee amendments from the Senate Finance and Appropriations Committee. So, thank you.
The question is, shall the committee amendments from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations be accepted? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to.
House Bill 1438, reported for the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources with a substitute, and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with a substitute.
Chair recognizes Senator Peterson, the senator from Fairfax City.
Thank you, Madam President. I think, according to my instructions, I'm supposed to reject the agricultural and natural resources substitute. So with the recommendation that we reject, I move that we accept the Ag Committee substitute.
With the recommendation that it be rejected, the question is, shall the substitute from the Committee on Agriculture, etc., be accepted? Those in favor of that motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The Committee on Ag, etc., substitute is rejected. Senator Peterson.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Madam President. And having done that, I move that we accept the substitute from the Finance Committee.
Question is, shall the substitute from Finance be accepted? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is accepted.
House Bill 1832, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. House Bill 1978, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. House Bill 2099, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. House Bill 2125, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. House Bill 2132, reported from the Committee on Commerce and Labor.
Madam President.
For what purpose does the junior senator from Chesterfield rise?
Madam President, I have a number of bills that I'd like to take out of the block, please.
The senator may continue.
Page 5, House Bill 1832. House Bill 2099 on page 5. On page 4, House Bill 1438. on page 6, House Bill 2125.
Without objection, the following House bills are out of the block: 2099, 1832, 1438, and 2125. Chair recognizes Senator McDougal, the senator from Hanover.
Thank you, Madam President. Could House Bill 1400 also come out of the block?
What page is that, sir?
Page 4, Madam President.
Without objection, House Bill 1400 is out of the block.
Page 6, House Bill 2132, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. House Bill 2256, reported from the Committee on Local Government with amendment.
Chair recognizes Senator Lewis, the senator from Accomack.
Madam President, I move the committee amendment.
The question is, shall the committee amendment be accepted? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The committee amendment is accepted.
House Bill 2258, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with amendment.
Chair recognizes Senator Howell, the senator from Southern Fairfax County.
Thank you. I move the amendment be agreed to.
The question is, shall the committee amendment be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The committee amendment is agreed to.
House Bill 2373, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with a substitute.
Chair recognizes Senator Howell, the senator again from Northern Fairfax County.
Yes, thank you. I move the amendment be agreed to.
The question is, shall the committee amendment be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
House Bill 2387, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with a substitute.
Senator Howell.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the substitute be agreed to.
Question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
House Bill 2445, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with a substitute.
Senator Howell.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the substitute be agreed to.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
House Bill 2457, reported from the Committee on Education and Health, and there is a floor substitute.
Chair recognizes Senator Lucas. Senator DeStaff for the substitute, the senior senator from Virginia Beach.
Madam President, can that bill go by for the day? Thank you.
Without objection, House Bill 2457 is by for the day. Out of the block and by for the day.
House Bill 1995, reported from the Committee on Transportation with a substitute.
Madam President.
Chair recognizes Senator Sorovell, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. Can that bill come out of the block and by for the day?
Without objection, House Bill 1995 is out of the block and by for the day.
House Bill 1422, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary.
Madam President.
Chair recognizes Senator Hashmi, the senior senator from Chesterfield.
Thank you, Madam President. Can HB 1422 come out of the block and go by for the day?
Without objection, HB 1422 is out of the block and by for the day.
House Bill 1446, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. House Bill 1472, reported from the Committee on Local Government. House Bill 1509, reported from the Committee on Local Government.
Madam President.
Chair recognizes Senator Boysko, the senator from northwestern Fairfax County.
Thank you. Can that come out of the block and by for the day, please?
Without objection, House Bill 1509 is out of the block and by for the day.
House Bill 1512, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with an amendment.
Chair recognizes Senator Howell.
Move the amendment be agreed to.
The question is, shall the committee amendment be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The committee amendment is agreed to.
House Bill 1539, reported from the Committee on Local Government. House Bill 1591, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with a substitute.
Chair recognizes Senator Howell.
I move the substitute be agreed to.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
House Bill 1625, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. House Bill 1641, reported from the Committee on Local Government. House Bill 1665, reported from the Committee on Local Government with amendments.
Chair recognizes Senator Lewis, the senator from Accomack.
Madam President, I move the committee amendments.
The question is, shall the committee amendment be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The committee amendments are accepted.
House Bill 1676, reported from the Committee on Local Government. House Bill 1679, reported from the Committee on Local Government. House Bill 1684, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. House Bill 1755, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary. House Bill 1806, reported from the Committee on Transportation with amendments and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with a substitute.
Chair recognizes Senator Marsden, the senator from Western Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. With the recommendation that they be rejected, I move the Transportation Committee amendments.
All right. The question is, with the recommendation that it be rejected, shall the committee amendments from the Committee on Transportation be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no.
No.
The committee amendments from Transportation are rejected. Senator Marsden.
Madam President, I yield to the senator from Southern Fairfax for a motion.
Senator Barker.
Yes, Madam President. I move that the Senate Finance and Appropriations Committee substitute be adopted.
The question is, shall the substitute from Finance and Appropriations be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
House Bill 1859, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary with amendments and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Chair recognizes Senator Edwards, the senator from Roanoke City.
Madam President, I move that the committee amendments from the Committee on the Judiciary be adopted.
The question is, shall the committee amendments from the Committee on the Judiciary be adopted? Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The committee amendments are adopted.
House Bill 1860, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary. House Bill 1896, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. House Bill 1907, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. House Bill 1944, reported from the Committee on Local Government. House Bill 1962, reported from the Committee on Local Government with amendment.
Chair again recognizes Senator Lewis.
Madam President, I move the committee amendment.
The question is, shall the committee amendments be accepted? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The committee amendment is accepted.
House Bill 1992, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary. House Bill 1996, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary. House Bill 2032, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with amendment.
Chair recognizes Senator Barker.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I move that the committee amendment from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations be adopted.
The question is, shall the committee amendment from Finance be adopted? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. Committee amendments are adopted.
House Bill 2038, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. House Bill 2165, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary.
Madam President.
Chair recognizes Senator Boysko.
Madam President, can that come out of the block and buy for the day, please?
2193. It's a revenue bill.
2165.
2165.
Ma'am.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that clarification. Without objection, House Bill 2165 is out of the block and bye for the day.
House Bill 2193, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with a substitute.
Chair recognizes Senator Barker.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I move that the committee substitute be agreed to.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
House Bill 2194, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. House Bill 2383, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary with amendments.
Chair recognizes Senator Edwards.
Madam President, I move that the amendments be adopted.
The question is, shall the committee amendments be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The committee amendments are agreed to.
House Bill 2400, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary. House Bill 2401, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with a substitute.
Chair recognizes Senator Howell. The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
House Bill 2410, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary. House Bill 2414, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. House Bill 2424, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary.
Chair recognizes Senator Lucas, the senator from Portsmouth.
Madam President, I may have just overlooked this, but House Bill 2032 on page 19, could that come out of the block and bye for the day?
You said 2032, Senator. Chair recognizes Senator Barker.
Madam President, dealing with the bill here at 2038, is that a revenue bill that we would need to deal with? Okay, that's fine.
It's 2032. You're correct, 2032.
Okay.
On page 19.
2032.
It's not a revenue bill. 2032. Patron is Delegate Glass. The question is, shall the House bills remaining in the block pass? That is, all bills except for House Bills 1438, 1400, page 4, 1832, page 5, 2099, also page 5, 2125, page 6, 2457, 1995, 1422, all on page 9, 1509, page 10, 2165, and 2032, both on page 20. And 2032, I thought I had said that, on page 20. All in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, no 0.
Ayes 40, no 0. The bills in the block pass. Returning to page 4, House Bill 1400. Chair recognizes Senator Barker.
Yes, Madam President. House Bill 1400 is the budget bill. It's been conformed to the Senate budget that we adopted a week ago.
And the gentleman moves.
And I move that for passage of the bill.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 31, noes 9.
Ayes 31, noes 9. The bill passes.
Page 4, House Bill 1438.
Senator Peterson, the senator from Fairfax City.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that. Do we need to conform that? Okay. I move that this bill pass and speak to the measure.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate. This is identical at this point to a bill we passed out sponsored by the gentleman from Williamsburg. And so just to keep this process moving along, I'd ask that you pass the bill. Thank you.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, no 0.
Ayes 40, no 0. Bill passes.
Page 5, House Bill 1832.
Chair recognizes Senator Barker.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the bill pass and speak into the bill.
The senator has the floor.
This bill deals with the Port Authority and some changes that are proposed here. What we're doing is following a recommendation of the Joint Legislative and Audit Review Commission so that some tax credit programs that have been operating with the Virginia Port Authority are being transferred to grants, and this will be more effective and will actually save us money in the long run and provide that we end up in a much better situation than we are now, and we're making a lot of progress already. So I would hope that everybody would support the passage of this bill.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, no 0.
Ayes 40, no 0. The bill passes.
House Bill 1978. I'm sorry. House Bill 2099 on page 5.
Chair recognizes Senator Howell, the senator from Southern Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. I move this bill pass. It increases the aggregate cap on the livable home tax credit from $1 million to $2 million per fiscal year, and the maximum credit amount a taxpayer may claim per year from $5,000 to $6,000 per taxpayer, effective January 1st, 2023.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, no 0.
Ayes 40, no 0. The bill passes.
Page 6, House Bill 2125.
Chair recognizes Senator Barker.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for passage of the bill.
The senator has the floor.
And speaking to that, this deals with a situation where there is, it's similar to a bill that the senator from Harrisonburg had this bill, identical bill here. What this does is it helps out a small charity that does limited amount of bingo and raises money that way. And what it does is it makes it so that they can continue to operate effectively and support some of the charities. And I would hope that everybody would pass the bill. So,
the question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 36, noes 2, Rule 36-2.
Ayes 36, noes 2, Rule 36-2. The bill passes.
Page 9. House Bill 20, bye for the day.
Bye
It's
for the
all
day.
bye for the day, I'm sorry. Page 23. Regular calendar, House bills on third reading. House Bill 1481, a bill relating to taxation of corporations, internet roof infrastructure providers. Reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with a substitute.
Chair recognizes Senator Barker, the senator from Southern Fairfax County.
yes, Madam President, I first move that the committee substitute be adopted.
The question is, shall the substitute be adopted? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is adopted. Senator Barker.
All right. At this point, I'll move passage of the bill and speaking to the bill.
The senator may continue.
Yeah, this is basically a limited tax change that would be provided to internet route infrastructure providers, of which there are only a little over a dozen in the entire world. So they're really in a highly selective field. And what this does is it brings them into puts us in a position where we are providing the companies that have these services benefits that will help keep them here in Virginia, and they are moving in the direction of supporting us. So with that, I would repeat my motion that that the bill pass.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, no 0, Rule 36-1.
Ayes 39, no 0. Rule 36-1. The bill passes.
House Bill 1677, a bill relating to retail sales and use tax service exemptions. Reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Chair recognizes Senator Barker. Thank you, Madam President. I move for passage of the bill. And speaking to the measure,
the senator has the floor.
What this would do is when you have diagnostic assessments being done on your car, particularly when it breaks down on the road. Unfortunately, mine has had a few of those over the years. But then when someone comes out, they would not be charged a sales tax unless there was a significant part that was put into the car at that point. So this would actually provide benefits to consumers and to the companies that are providing roadside assistance. And I would repeat my motion that the bill pass.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, no 0.
Ayes 40, no 0. The bill passes.
House Bill 2178, a bill relating to Green Job Creation Tax Credit, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with amendment.
Chair recognizes Senator Barker.
All right. Madam President, I move that the committee amendment be adopted too.
The question is, shall the committee amendment be adopted? Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The committee amendment is adopted. Senator Barker.
Yes. Madam President, I move passage of the bill and speaking to the bill.
The senator has the floor.
Basically, they're looking for a green job creation tax credit for methane gas that would be capped and at the where the abandoned coal mines are, and would provide some energy, and would the collection of that methane would not go into the atmosphere, and would be there would be a tax credit provided to the operators that are implementing this capture there. So with that, I'll ask that the bill be passed again. So.
Chair recognizes Senator Morrissey, the junior senator from Richmond.
Thank you, Madam President. Would the gentleman yield for a question?
Will the senator rise and yield for a question?
Sure.
The senator yields. Senator Morrissey has the floor.
Thank you. Do I understand that this bill would allow an entity or individuals to capture the methane that is coming from the coal mine similarly to the way methane is captured from landfills and then use it in a productive, purposeful fashion?
Yes.
Senator Barker has the floor.
Yes, Madam President. Senator Morrissey, that's how this operates here, okay. And that we would be able to have that capture.
I thank the gentleman.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 27, noes 13.
Ayes 27, noes 13. The bill passes.
House Bill 2297, a bill relating to Cattle Industry Board collection and disposition of assessment by handler, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Chair recognizes Senator Peterson, the senator from Fairfax City. Your microphone, sir.
Thank you, Madam President. I think this this can literally be capsulized in the title. It allows the Cattle Industry Board to make an assessment upon their members and just extends that to a sunset date of 2028. Otherwise, it just keeps law exactly the same. I move that the bill pass.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, noes 2.
Ayes 38, noes 2. The bill passes.
House Bill 2419, a bill relating to data centers and cloud computing sales tax exemption grant fund, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with a substitute, and there is a floor substitute.
Chair recognizes Senator Barker, the senator from Southern Fairfax County.
Right. Madam President, I move that the Committee on Finance and Appropriations substitute be adopted, but with a recommendation that it be rejected so we can get to the floor substitute.
With the recommendation that it be rejected, shall the substitute from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is rejected from the Committee on Finance. Senator Barker.
Thank you, Madam President. This now waive the reading of the floor substitute.
The question is, shall the reading of the floor substitute be waived? Those in favor of that motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The substitute, the reading of it is waived. Senator Barker.
Thank you, Madam President. The floor substitute, I guess, is before us at this particular time, and I'll
It is, sir.
Yeah. So I would move adoption of the floor substitute. What it does, it deals with an MEI project that was approved through the process, the MEI process in late last year, and is being implemented here in code to be able to effectuate the benefits that we will be receiving in that project. And this specifies the terms of the agreement with the company that's behind this. And with that, I would ask that the floor substitute be adopted.
Chair recognizes Senator Cosgrove, the senior senator from Chesapeake.
Thank you, Madam President. Would the gentleman yield for a question?
Senator Barker, will you yield?
I yield.
The gentleman yields.
Thank you,
Senator
Madam President.
Cosgrove has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I ask the gentleman, is the House patron aware of this and in support of this?
Yes,
Senator Barker.
He is aware of it. We're working out one final issue on all this, but this will get the wheels moving to get that done, and we're operating together.
I thank the gentleman.
Senator Peterson, the senator from Fairfax City.
Speak to the measure.
The senator has the floor.
You know, Madam President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, I was afraid that the session would get by without me being able to speak on the floor about data centers. Didn't quite make it. This is a bill that basically extends and codifies the sales and use tax exemption that we give to data centers. Now, that sales and use tax exemption cost us $138 million in fiscal year 2021. It's cost us over $1 billion over the past decade. It has become one of the most significant sales and use tax exemptions on our books, and we have become the center of the data center industry in America and, frankly, in the world. And the governor recently announced that we were going to attract $35 billion in new data centers, which, and I just briefly read this substitute, looks like that's incorporated in what we're about to pass. Now, it's worth noting, what exactly are we getting for this? Well, data centers don't create jobs. They create jobs when they're built, but once they're built, they're largely unmanned or unwomaned. They're basically just empty structures that hold large computers. Now, do we generate tax revenue from that? We don't get much income tax from it because, again, we're not creating jobs. Do the localities get property tax? Yes, they do. But remember, these buildings depreciate over 30 years, and once they're fully depreciated, they're not collecting property tax. And yet the buildings remain. And where are these buildings being sited? Well, in one case, they're being sited literally within a stone's throw of the Manassas battlefield. In fact, right on the site where the Iron Brigade fought the Stonewall Brigade in the Battle of Groveton, one of the most significant small battles in the Civil War. Where are they being sited? They're being sited next to Brandy Station battlefield. Where are they being sited? They're being sited up and down the Blue Ridge Spine. I mean, they had a public hearing late into the night in the town of Warrenton last night, which brought out the actor Robert Duvall, who hadn't been seen in years, actually came out to testify against it. Okay? Now, you say, but, chap, this is a local zoning issue. And yet we're about to give them a sales and use tax exemption that exempts them from the sales and use tax that every other product in Virginia has to pay. So it is a state issue. The bottom line is, look, I know I've heard it all before. Mountains don't vote. Fields don't vote. Trees don't vote. I get all that. But we at a minimum need to slow this train down and take a look at, A, whether or not we're actually creating jobs through this tax credit, and B, what is the impact on our environment? Because let me tell you something. Right now, 20% of our electricity load in the Commonwealth is supporting data centers. That's right now. It was 12% just a few years ago. This is before we had $3.5 billion in new, or $35 billion in new data center investment. The Digital Gateway alone in Prince William County is going to have enough square footage to make 155 Walmart supercenters. 155. in one project in Prince William County. This is a massive development that we're placing along the spine of the Blue Ridge, right down the Virginia Piedmont. Now, ironically, if we could find a way perhaps to push some of this growth into parts of Virginia which need the revenue more, that perhaps need whatever construction jobs created more, we ought to do that. And we actually passed unanimously in this body a study resolution to try and get to that. It didn't make it through the other body. So right now, we have no plan for data centers. And I know there is some language in this bill about, well, VEDP is going to look at it and everything else. We need to get people to the table like environmental organizations, historic preservation organizations, organizations that actually have a long eye for both the history and landscape of this state. So I hope we're going to get a few red votes up on this bill, because believe me, this is our only platform to raise this to the attention of the governor and the public, that what we are doing is going to have an impact on our children and our grandchildren's Virginia and for generations to come. Thank you. I oppose the bill.
The question is,
Madam President,
the senator has the floor.
Yeah, if I might make a quick response here.
The senator may continue.
Through the MEI process and the VEDP operation, 8 jurisdictions, 8 counties in Virginia have been identified as part of this project as potential sites for those, and none of those is in Planning District 8. So they're not. They're trying to branch out and provide in other parts of the Commonwealth, rather than in the Northern Virginia area.
The question is, shall the Barker floor substitute be accepted? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The floor substitute is accepted. Senator Barker.
All right. I now move to passage of the bill, and having explained a lot of the operations of this and some of the benefits that we will be receiving through this process, which could go over the next 15 to 20 years, I would ask that this be adopted.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 31, noes 9.
Ayes 31, noes 9. The bill passes.
House Bill 1598, a bill relating to medical cannabis program transition from Board of Pharmacy to Virginia Cannabis Control Authority. Reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Chair recognizes Senator Lucas, the senator from Portsmouth.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I move that the bill pass, and speaking to that measure.
The senator has the floor.
Okay, what the bill does, it transfers oversight and administration of the Commonwealth's medical cannabis program from the Board of Pharmacy to the Virginia Cannabis Control Authority. Madam President, what it does is it moves the date to January 1, 2024. That was the only difference between Senate Bill 788 and House Bill 1598. Of course, with Senate Bill 788 being introduced by our own Senator Favola. And so with that explanation, Madam President, I move that the bill pass.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 29, noes 11.
Ayes 29, noes 11. The bill passes.
House Bill 1647, a bill relating to civil cause of action, civil sexual abuse by person of authority, limitations period. Reported from the Committee on the Judiciary.
Chair recognizes Senator Edwards, the senator from Roanoke City.
Madam President, I move that the bill pass.
The senator has the floor.
Madam President, this has to do with civil actions only regarding sexual abuse of persons with authority. What this bill does is it's only civil. It's not criminal, and it. I'll be glad to answer any questions. Without any further explanation, I move the bill pass.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 37, noes 3.
Ayes 37, noes 3. The bill passes.
House Bill 1691, a bill relating to School Resource Officer Grants Program and Fund, reported from the Committee on Education and Health with substitute and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Chair recognizes Senator Lucas, the senator from Portsmouth.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the committee substitute be agreed to.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to. Senator Lucas.
Yes, ma'am. Speaking to that, Madam President, what it
Senator
does,
has the floor.
Thank you. What the bill does, it provides that matching grants from the school resource officers incentive grant funds may be awarded to local law enforcement agencies and local school boards for the expenses related to the equipment necessary for uninformed school resource officers. Again, I renew my motion that the bill pass.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 34, noes 6.
Ayes 34, no 6. The bill passes.
House Bill 1725, a bill relating to Virginia Fair Housing Law, use of assistance annual indwelling penalties, reported for the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Chair recognizes Senator Eben, the senator from Alexandria.
I move the bill pass, and speaking to that motion.
The senator has the floor.
This bill arose when a similar bill was introduced last year, and it was referred to the Housing Commission. The Housing Commission came up with this recommendation on a 19-1 vote. The bill before you today is work done by the Virginia Housing Commission, Affordable Housing, and Neighborhood Transitions Work Group. This piece of legislation is intended to tackle fraud for bad actors, especially those companies and online service providers currently providing limited supporting documentation to verify the need for an emotional support animal, or ESA. I renew my motion the bill pass.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, no 0.
Ayes 40, no 0. The bill passes.
House Bill 1756, a bill relating to attorney-issued subpoenas, release of witness, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary with amendments.
Chair recognizes Senator Edwards, a senator from Roanoke City.
Madam President, I move the amendments passed from the Committee on the Judiciary. By way of explanation, these amendments provide that they provide only in a civil action that a written notice of release from the attorney-issued subpoena must be sent to all parties or to their attorneys if they have an attorney, and that a copy of the written notice of release should be sent to the clerk of court by fax or electronic filing. And that's all it does. With that explanation, move the bill pass. I move the amendment be adopted.
The question is, shall the committee amendments be adopted? Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The committee amendments are adopted. Senator.
Mr. President, Madam President, I move that the bill as amended pass.
The question is, Chair recognizes Senator Peterson, the senator from Fairfax City.
Madam President, speak to the bill.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. What will probably be a series of futile gestures I will make today will oppose this bill. I made the same remark in Courts Committee, and I think I just want people to take note of the fact, if you're a practitioner, and I apologize to Senator Spruill because this is lawyer talk now, but if you're if you're a practitioner and you subpoena a witness and you expect them to come to trial, that's one thing. But if your opposing counsel subpoenas that witness, then you need to get your own subpoena on them, because they could get released without your permission, and you could show up for trial and that witness does not appear. And that could be a big problem, especially if you don't have the ability of a non-suit and you have to go forward. So I oppose this bill because I think it's could lead to a little bit of skullduggery. But again, I expect my opposition to be ineffective. Thank you.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 30, noes 10.
Ayes 30, noes 10. The bill passes.
House Bill 1834, a bill relating to land preservation tax credits, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Chair recognizes Senator Howell, the senator from Southern Fairfax County.
Northern.
Northern.
Sorry. Okay. I move the bill pass. What this bill does is extends the deadline for filing an application for land preservation tax credits, assuming that DCR is conducting a verification of conservation value and the application is otherwise complete. Move the bill pass.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, noes 2.
Ayes 38, noes 2. The bill passes.
House Bill 18... House Bill 1835, a bill relating to threats made against health care providers penalty, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary.
Chair recognizes Senator Edwards.
Madam President, to move that this bill pass.
And speaking to the bill, sir.
1835.
Madam President.
Yeah, Madam President, what this does is has to do with threats made to healthcare providers. Apparently, this is happening more and more, and it removes the location element that specifies that a healthcare provider must be in a hospital or an emergency room, and adds the fact that a healthcare provider could be in another location. And it has to do with oral threats to kill or do bodily harm to healthcare providers. It's a growing problem, and I move that the bill pass.
The question is, shall the bill pass?
Madam President.
Chair, for what purpose does the senator from Eastern Fairfax rise?
Speak to the bill.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Ladies and gentlemen, the bill is it's not a huge bill by any means, but what it does is it basically creates a new misdemeanor. Right now, today, oral threats like this don't constitute a misdemeanor unless they're made right now inside, I believe it's an emergency room, inside an emergency room. And what this does is that broadens it up to basically any healthcare worker, anytime they're providing services anywhere. So it could be like in a doctor's office. It could be anywhere in the hospital. It could be on the hospital grounds. And the reason I'm a little hesitant to authorize a new misdemeanor with a 12-month sentence and a fine on that is that whenever you're talking about oral threats, what one person says is often different than what one person hears. So often there's a lot of miscommunication that goes on in that, and a lot of people don't understand a threat to kill versus a threat to I'm going to sue you or I'm going to, put something on Facebook or whatever, which is very different than a threat to kill, but it gets interpreted differently, and that often results in people going to the police, and then to basically initiate this charge, all it takes is somebody has to say somebody threatened to hurt me, period, and zero corroboration. And, if that's all that's there, no corroboration whatsoever, this is, the kind of charge that's likely to just get dropped or dismissed because there's no corroboration. It's a he said, she said, and in court it's very hard to figure that out. And I'll yield just 1 second. And anyway, I just don't think this is going to result in a lot of wasted time in court, and I don't think it's the kind of thing we ought to be criminalizing. I'm happy to yield.
Would the gentleman yield?
I'll yield.
Madam Chair, I would ask the gentleman if we didn't pass legislation in 2019 that expanded this to oral threats, and what this bill simply does is make it enforceable not just at hospitals but at any facility where health care is delivered.
Senator Sorovell has the floor.
Madam President, I believe that's correct, but my recollection of when it passed, the explanation was that when doctors get into emergency rooms, or sorry, not doctors, but when care is being delivered in an emergency room, there's often a lot of emotional energy and crisis surrounding the situation, and that people are dragged into emergency rooms sometimes against their will and being forced to be given medical care. They're very contentious situations, and it's not like where you voluntarily go into a doctor's office. This is like in an emergency room, which is kind of a heightened and different situation than what this new language would bring in. And I think that was the rationale for it. And now it seems like we're broadening it up to any healthcare provider in any medical facility, anytime, any place, which is a much broader and different situation.
Would the gentleman yield?
Will the senator yield?
I'll yield.
The senator yields. Senator Deeds has the floor.
But the gentleman would agree with me that the old language, emergency medical care in an emergency room, which is what is online stricken language in 37 and 38 in a hospital, in an emergency room, or in an emergency room, that in today's world, emergency care or critical care is provided in much different places than just a hospital emergency room, including these urgent care centers that didn't fit under the old code. Does the gentleman agree with me that we are in a different world today where hospital or urgent care is not just provided in emergency rooms?
Senator Sorovell.
Madam Chair, I would agree with that, but this bill goes way, way, way beyond urgent or emergency care. It applies to any care of any kind. I could be going to my doctor's office to get a physical, and if words are exchanged, all of a sudden it turns into a Class 1 misdemeanor because somebody said something, and that is typically not the kind of conduct we criminalize.
No, ma'am, I don't have any other questions. I thank the gentleman. I would just say that I would hope he would not go to his doctor's office.
The purpose?
Just speaking to
the senator has the floor.
I would hope the gentleman would not go to his doctor's office to engage in words with the doctor.
Senator McClellan, the senior senator from Richmond.
Thank you, Madam President. Speaking to the bill.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I would hope that we will pass this bill. It's not, the current law is not just about emergency room. It also includes clinics. And the fact is we have seen an increasing number of threats that sometimes escalate to physical violence in pediatricians' offices, and in clinic settings in particular where there's not necessarily emergency room care being provided, to the point where it is having an impact on our healthcare workforce being able to do their job, and that's why they requested this bill. They did not do that lightly, but I think at the end of the day, like with any other misdemeanor where that involves sort of a he said, she said, it's going to be up to the trier of fact to figure out, were you just calling someone names or were you threatening to kill them? And I think we entrust our healthcare providers to take care of our loved ones. And when they ask for a response to threats that they are receiving, we should take that very seriously.
Chair recognizes Senator Morrissey, the junior senator from Richmond.
Thank you, Madam President. Speaking in support of HB 1835.
The senator has the floor.
Madam President, I originally was on the side of the senator from Eastern Fairfax County and was not inclined to add another misdemeanor offense to the litany of Virginia Code section criminal matters. But I then talked to some medical students and some other people that are providing care, and they described really significant and serious situations that occurred outside of the emergency room, the hospital situation, where there was a need for this legislation. And I'm also aware, and although the gentleman from Eastern Fairfax County didn't mention it, that there could be a threat, but it is not a real threat. The individual is going through withdrawal. The individual wants pain medication. But here's where the reason I ended up supporting it. Like the senior senator from Richmond, I trust that the fact finder, whether it's a general district court judge or a jury, if it got that far, would be able to discern what was a legitimate threat, i.e., I'm going to kill you, versus somebody who, because he or she was in pain, withdrawing, was emotional, simply uttered those words. So that was the reason that I supported the bill, and I'd hope the body would support 1835. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Senator Spruill, the senator from Northern Chesapeake.
Thank you, Madam President. Speak to the gentleman from Northern Virginia, Scott Survey. I don't know, South or West, one of them.
Sorreville.
Thank you so much. My question.
I yield.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm trying to determine a threat. If I were a juror in the courtroom, and I'm looking at a threat, if a person who is really hurting and someone trying to help them, they will say some things that they don't really mean. If they're bad off, hurt, or out of their head, they say something that they don't really mean, yet I have threatened the health worker. So my question to you is, when you go to court, and I would say, well, at a particular time, I was hurting. I didn't really mean, said I'm going to smack you, sir. I didn't really mean that, because at that particular time. So in court, so how do you determine that, as far as that a person really guilty, when he was out of his head, he didn't really mean it at that particular time?
Senator Sorreville has the floor.
Madam President, I would say to the senator that it really depends on the context of the situation, and all these situations are very contextual, and you have to always take what's going on at the heat of the moment and the circumstances surrounding the threat to consider that. And you know, when the situation is presented to the officer or the magistrate, they're going to just assume the worst case scenario. So all they need to hear is somebody threatened to kill me. That's enough. The charge will be issued. Now the person has to hire a lawyer, and they're off to the races and spending money and having to go to court and, you know, stress months of their life, et cetera. Obviously, the person could choose to testify in court. They don't have to testify. They have a Fifth Amendment right to keep their mouth shut. But the person you described might come and say, I didn't mean it. And, I mean, just for example, one of the things I was joking about, maybe the senator from Henrico might appreciate this. I'm sure as some people are experiencing childbirth, they might have some things to say about the anger they're experiencing, not necessarily against the doctor, but maybe against the person standing next to them about the process they're going through. I mean, when people are suffering pain, they say lots of things. And as the senator from junior senator from Richmond just pointed out, you know, when people are going through drug withdrawal, they say lots of things that they maybe don't exactly mean exactly what they're saying, but they start losing control of the words coming out of their mouth because of the medical experience they're going through. So, like, yeah, Senator, my seatmate here says it happens on the floor of the General Assembly sometimes when people get hot. So the point is it's you know, I'm not as much worried about what happens at the end of the trial. What I'm worried about is all these people getting sucked into the criminal justice system over situations that really should not be criminal scenarios, and all the you know, you all pass this, it's fine. It's more cases for me. I mean, I'll get plenty more work because of this, but I don't really think it's going to help solve any problems.
Madam President.
Senator Spruill.
One last question.
Will the senator again yield?
I'll yield.
Senator Sorreville yields. Senator Spruill.
Thank you, Madam President. So let's say if you go to court, and I'm trying to learn, when you go to court, so who determines whether or not Spruill really meant what he said to threaten someone? Who determines that?
Well, the first thing is the prosecutor is going to have to decide if they think whatever the words are on the context is enough to proceed to trial. But assuming they think it's enough, then it'll either be a judge if you're in general district court, or if you go to circuit court, it'll be a judge or a jury if somebody is elected to have a jury on the case.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes Senator McDougal, senator from Hanover.
Thank you, Mr. President. Madam President, will the senator from Eastern Fairfax yield for additional questions?
Senator from Eastern Fairfax yield.
I'll yield.
Senator yields. Senator McDougal has the floor.
Madam President, I asked the gentleman, if I'm reading this correctly, does this language now extend to nursing homes as well? It's not just health care provider facilities like hospitals and ambulatory facilities and general practitioner facilities?
Senator Sorovell.
I believe it does. If they're providing health care in that nursing home, I believe that would qualify.
Madam President, would the gentleman yield for additional question?
Will Senator Sorovell yield for another question?
I'll yield.
Senator yields. Senator McDougal.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I'd asked the gentleman, one of the concerns that I had was if somebody's in a nursing home and has some dementia or other type of psychological problem going on while they're at the nursing home and they tell the worker to get out or I'll kick your butt, would that find them guilty of this statute or in violation to be charged?
Senator Sorovell has the floor.
Madam President, I think it would definitely result in them being charged and having to go out and hire counsel. And if they wish to avail themselves of the statute we passed 2 years ago that said their mental condition is admissible, they might have to hire an expert witness to come to court, which would typically cost them, I would say, between $3,000 and $10,000 to explain the medical condition that they suffered from and how that could have affected their judgment on that date, in addition to the legal fee they'd have to pay. And yes, I'm aware also that people who have Alzheimer's and dementia often have uncontrolled outbursts of anger and lose control of their ability to make threats like that. And so that's definitely a scenario that could occur.
Thank you, Madam President. Speaking briefly.
The senator may continue.
Madam President, the takeaway I have from that is the lawyers in Northern Virginia are much higher than the lawyers down here in Southern Virginia.
Chair recognizes Senator Rouse, the junior senator from Virginia Beach.
Thank you, Madam President. I had quite a bit of...
For what purpose does the gentleman rise?
To speak in support of the bill.
The senator has the floor.
I'm very reluctant to support this bill, but I will do so because I understand that there has been a tremendous need to support our healthcare professionals and allow them to do their jobs. But I'm very wary of this bill from personal experience. There was a point in time where I took my mother to the hospital, and she was experiencing somewhat of a heart attack. But when we arrived to the hospital, she was made to wait in the waiting room. Now, I'm 6'4", 230 pounds. If I would raise my voice to get my mother health care, would I be subject to a misdemeanor or intimidation or threat by making sure my mother, who is an African American, and by large parts and sense African American, especially women, are always receiving the short end of the stick when it comes to our healthcare profession, healthcare industry. And so while I do want to make sure we can protect and allow those in our medical field to be able to do their jobs, I just want to make sure that it's not always times a person who we're seeing come into an emergency room usually at their lowest because they're seeking help, but their family members or friends or strangers who happen to bring them there who are seeking the health care that they need, especially in emergency situations, that they aren't also prosecuted because they're at a heightened sense of awareness or not at their best. So that is my hesitation with supporting this bill. But I understand something has to be done. But I just also wanted to share that story, and hopefully we can get it right that, a man of my size, typically who comes to emergency room with their mother, who may be experiencing a heart attack or not, that's just trying to get attention and health, an awareness to his mother, that he wouldn't be prosecuted under this piece of legislation. Thank you, Madam Chair, Madam President.
Chair recognizes Senator Donovan, the senator from Enrico.
Thank you, Madam President. Speak to the bill.
The senator has the floor.
I had not intended to speak to the bill because I think this is...
Your microphone, Senator.
Maybe I'm just not holding it well.
No, you're good now.
Thank you, Madam President. Had not intended because I think this is more a discussion of what happens in the legal arena than what happens in the healthcare arena. But having been called upon, I felt it necessary to stand up and speak in support of this bill. I will point out to you that the change in the code only provides protection for healthcare workers in parity to what we already provide for schools. If you make a threat to kill or do bodily injury to any employee of any school on the bus, on school property, or at a school-sponsored activity, it's already a Class 1 misdemeanor. So we are changing the language to expand this from not just emergency rooms, but to other healthcare settings. I would start by saying, despite thousands of deliveries, I have never been threatened in a delivery room. And in fact, in the course, I've been kicked when I was pregnant, when I was an ICU nurse, in the stomach. And I've suffered verbal abuse more when I was a nurse than as a doctor, to be frank. But I have never been threatened in a way that I thought was legitimate. And I would suggest to you that healthcare workers spend their whole time in their job in empathy with the patient. It's called patient-centered care. We are concerned about identifying with what is motivating the patient to say what they're saying. And as a result, frivolous accusations are incredibly unlikely to happen. But as we've entertained a long series of hypotheticals about how somebody who threatens might be abused by us changing this law, which already applies to schools, I would suggest to you that your healthcare workers are more interested in the hypothetical that they get a legitimate threat and they have little or no recourse. And they would ask that in those rare circumstances that they have the protection of the law, as we already provide in schools, and that you demonstrate that when they are beleaguered, which is now after a couple of years of COVID, when they are beleaguered, that they don't have to fear for their well-being in the process of caring for others. This is not a dramatic change. It is much more likely to be an issue for the healthcare workers than the hypothetical accused, and I hope you will support the bill.
Chair recognizes Senator McPike, the gentleman from Prince William.
Thank you, Madam President. So looking at the definitions is kind of interesting. Speaking to the bill.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you. Looking at the definitions, it's how this threads through, just so the body also understands it. Because your billing offices, and my family being the recipient of a lot of medical bills this year, as written, if I call and realize that they've denied thousands of dollars worth of my medical claims, and I get a little heated and say something, I'm now scooped up under this. Obviously, there's existing threat laws that it could be charged with. Now I get doubled down, and I get another charge, because this, under any health care provider as defined, includes any person, corporation, HMO, look at the definition, included in this, are covered by that. So I occasionally get constituents as well that call and complain, and they've fired up their HMO on complaints of billing because it's entirely too frustrating to navigate. You need a PhD to navigate it. This scoops up all those folks into this code section. So as you guys have been debated, I've been sort of deep diving into it, and if you look at it, it's defined right there. So I'm going to put up a red on this one.
Madam Chairman, would the senator yield for a question?
Would the gentleman rise and yield for a question?
I yield.
Yes,
Senator yields.
so-
Senator Donovan has the floor.
Unless I have the wrong version of the bill, on line 39 it says health care provider. That is
Yes.
not a billing agent.
Senator has the floor.
The bill cross-reference section 8.01, 58.1.1, if you look at the definition, healthcare provider, it says means a person, corporation, facility, institution licensed by the Commonwealth to provide services or professional services as a physician, hospital, dentist, pharmacist, registered nurse, healthcare provider, et cetera, including therapist, clinical social worker, et cetera. I mean, it's a long list of items including HMO, including in that definition.
I have to look at it.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 30, noes 10.
Ayes 30, noes 10. The bill passes.
Madam President.
For what purpose does the senator from Portsmouth rise?
Thank you, Madam President. Having voted on the prevailing side by which we passed House Bill 1834, I move that we reconsider that vote.
The question is, shall the vote by which House Bill 1834 passed be reconsidered? Those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, noes 0.
Ayes 40, no 0. The vote is reconsidered. Senator Barker.
Having previously been explained, I move that the bill be passed.
The question is, shall House Bill 1834 pass? Those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, noes 0.
Ayes 40, no 0. The bill passes.
House Bill 2019, a bill relating to review of discretionary sentencing guidelines deferred disposition. Reported from the Committee on the Judiciary, and there's one floor amendment.
Chair recognizes Senator Sorovell, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll withdraw the floor amendment.
Without objection, the floor amendment is withdrawn. Senator Deeds. Or Edwards. Senator Edwards, the gentleman from Roanoke City.
Madam President, I move that the bill pass. And by way of explanation,
The senator has the floor.
This basically says that whenever a deferred disposition is made by a judge in a discretionary sentencing guideline situation, and it's not a Class 1 felony, within 5 days following that deferred disposition, the judge should send to the Criminal Sentencing Commission the worksheet regarding that particular case. It's just a method to make sure the certain cases are sent to the Sentencing Commission for further data collection. With that explanation, I move the bill pass.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, noes 1.
Ayes 39, noes 1. The bill passes.
House Bill 2041, a bill relating to local parks, walking trails, liability, property owners. Reported from the Committee on Local Government.
Chair recognizes Senator Lewis, the senator from Accomack.
Madam President, I move the bill pass, and then I yield to the gentlewoman from Arlington who had the Senate version of the bill.
Senator Favola, the senator from Arlington.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. I rise to speak to the motion.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. This bill is identical to my Senate Bill 807, which passed out of this body 37-3. What it does is it allows localities to create trails for walking, and it also identifies public easements. In some cases, private property is used to expand these walking trails. It allows those localities to grant the right of public easement and to also give some protection to the property owners against any nuisance lawsuits. With that explanation, Madam President, I again renew the motion that the bill pass.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, noes 2.
Ayes 38. Noes 2. The bill passes.
Can we waive?
The Senate will come to order.
Senator Saslaw.
Chair recognizes the senior senator from Fairfax County, Senator Saslaw.
Madam President, I move we waive the reading of communications from the House.
The question is, shall the reading of the communication from the House be waived? All those in favor of waiving the reading of the communication from the House of Delegates will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 36, noes 4.
Ayes 36, noes 4. The reading of the communication from the House of Delegates is waived.
Moving to supplemental calendar number 1, unfinished business Senate.
Madam President.
The blue calendar. All senators do not have a calendar. The blue calendar.
Don't have a calendar, please raise your hand. It's the blue calendar that was just passed out.
The calendars have been pounded.
Everyone has one.
Madam Clerk.
Unfinished business Senate. Senate Bill 788 has passed the House with a substitute.
Chair recognizes Senator Favola, the senator from Arlington.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I move that the House substitute be agreed to.
The question is, shall the House substitute...
She needs to explain.
Yes, you need to explain. That's right. And with an explanation, Senator.
Thank you, Madam President. I was just about to offer you an explanation. Excuse me. What this substitute does is it adds to my bill the fact that the CCA will start its regulatory authority over medical cannabis January 1st, 2024, which makes 788 now identical to the House bill that we just recently passed. Having explained the substitute, again, I ask that it be agreed to. Thank you.
The question is, shall the Senate concur with the House substitute? Those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 29, noes 10.
Ayes 29, noes 10. The Senate concurs.
Senate Bill 860 has passed the House with amendments.
Chair recognizes Senator Locke, the senator from Hampton.
Thank you, Madam President. With the recommendation that it be rejected, I move the amendments be agreed to.
And speaking to that, Senator?
I was not invited to testify on my bill, so I have no clue what they did to my bill.
The question is, with the recommendation that it be rejected, shall the House amendments be agreed to? Those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 0, noes 39.
Ayes 0, noes 39. Senate does not concur.
Senate Bill 1210 has passed the House with a substitute.
Chair recognizes Senator Mason,
Thank you,
Senator
Madam
from
President.
Williamsburg.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, with a recommendation that it be rejected, I move the House substitute be agreed to. Speaking of that,
the senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. This is the National Guard tax subtraction bill, and we're just $500,000 off. We're also off as far as the level of credit that we give. We give a credit to Lieutenant Governor. They stopped at Lieutenant Colonel. They stopped at Captain. But maybe we'll give credit to the Lieutenant Governor as well, ma'am. So, again, I ask that you reject the House substitute.
A girl can only hope, Senator. The question is, with the recommendation that it be rejected, shall the House substitute be agreed to? Those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 1, noes 39.
Ayes 139. The substitute is rejected.
Senate Bill 1258 has passed the House with an amendment.
Chair recognizes Senator Lucas, the senator from Portsmouth.
Yes, ma'am, Madam President. I move that the amendment be agreed to.
And speaking?
Yes, ma'am. Speaking to that.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, speaking to this, of course, I didn't notice any difference on the website for any changes, but I think I agree to what they decided to do because I think they made this a Section 1. So with that, incidentally, this bill was made at the request of the city of Norfolk, and it is to be able to use the tax credits for their entertainment venue.
The question is, shall the Senate concur with the House amendment? Those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? And does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 36, noes 4.
Ayes 36, noes 4. The Senate concurs with the House amendment.
Senate Bill 1349 has passed the House with a substitute.
Chair recognizes Senator Barker, the senator from Southern Fairfax County. Your microphone.
I'm sorry. Madam President, with the recommendation that it be rejected, I move that the substitute with the amendment be agreed to.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I move that it be agreed to. Yeah.
And speaking?
And speaking to the motion.
The senator has the floor.
Yes. This is one that we have not resolved a couple of the outstanding issues on this one proposal here, and should be able to do so fairly rapidly. So,
the question is, with the recommendation that it be rejected, shall the Senate concur with the House substitute? Those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 1, noes 39.
Ayes 1, noes 39. The House substitute is rejected.
Senate Bill 1522 is passed the House with the substitute with amendment.
Chair recognizes again Senator Barker.
Madam President, with the recommendation that it be rejected, I move that the substitute with the amendment be agreed to. And speaking to that,
The senator has the floor.
Similarly to what I said earlier today, and on this issue, there is one unresolved proposal, one issue, and it deals with the length of time that leases need to be held as it relates to them being recognized as the owner of the owner of the operation for the data center would be in charge of that. And with that, we would once we get that issue resolved, we'll be able to get this passed altogether. But
the question is, with the recommendation that it be rejected, shall the Senate concur with the House amendment? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 0, noes 40.
Ayes 0, noes 40. The Senate does not concur. It is rejected.
Senate Bill 1405 is passed the House. The Senate rejects the House substitute, and we are awaiting House action.
Madam President.
Chair recognizes Senator Newman, the gentleman from Bedford.
Madam President, returning to page 2 of the blue calendar, having voted on the prevailing side by which we agreed to the House amendment on Senate Bill 1258, I move that we reconsider that vote.
The question is, shall the vote by which Senate Bill 1258 was passed be reconsidered? By which we agreed to the House amendment be reconsidered. Those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye for reconsideration. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, noes 0.
Ayes 40, noes 0. The vote is reconsidered. Senator Lucas.
Yes, Madam President, I have reconsidered my motion. I move that with the recommendation that it be rejected, I move that the amendment to the House be agreed to.
The question is, with the recommendation that it be rejected, shall the Senate concur with the House amendment? Those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 6, noes 34.
Ayes 6, noes 34. The Senate rejects the House amendment. Chair recognizes Senator Saslaw, the senior senator from Fairfax County.
Madam President, at this time, I'm going to move that the Senate stand in recess until 3:30 so the committees can meet, and then we will return here at 3:30 and finish the main calendar.
Chair recognizes Senator Reeves, the gentleman from Spotsylvania.
If the leader would allow us, I have to do one reconsideration of a vote on the original calendar, if that's possible. Get that done. So, Madam President, having voted on the prevailing side in which HB 2041 on page 28, HB 2041 on page 28 be reconsidered.
The question is, shall the vote by which we are waiting on the board to catch up. The board is in order. The question is, shall the vote by which HB 2041 passed be reconsidered? Those in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, noes 0.
Ayes 40, no 0. The vote is reconsidered. Senator Lewis. Or is it?
Well, Madam President, I defer to the gentlewoman from Arlington.
Senator Favola.
Thank you, Madam President. Having previously explained House Bill 2041, I move that it pass.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote?
I'm sorry.
The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 36, noes 4.
Ayes 36, noes 4. The bill passes. The Senate now stands in recess until 3:30. Quick announcements.
Before you leave, Committee on General Laws and Technology will meet 15 minutes upon recess in Senate Room 3 in the Capitol. The Committee on the Judiciary will meet 1/2 hour upon recess in Senate Room A in Pocahontas. And if you're interested, House Finance is meeting at 2 o'clock.